Mic check 1 2 1 2. I think we're live now. We had some technical difficulties, but we're here. Let's run it.
Yeah. If you looked at my life, you see what I see. Pitfalls, brick walls, all of this in front of me. Strain on my brain from the pain that's up under me. Strange days, but I can't change what becomes of me. Trials and tribulations, I was raised in segregation, not from colors, but from neighborhood and gang affiliations. This what I was facing, coming up in revelations. By the age of 14, introduced me to the banging. Stranger was my homeboy, Snoopy was my OG. Rudy was a shot caller, Tweety was the BG. This was 89 when the murder rate was critical. East Los Angeles was scandalous and physical. I was right there in the middle of it all, trying to find my way of life, and I sacrificed it all. Taught me everything about the game I need to know. This is how it goes. Yeah.
Yo, what up with it? Welcome to the G-Lew show in conjunction with Big D, Keeping It Real channel. Let's talk about it. Featuring G-Lew and Big D. Let's get to it.
The one, the only.
Product of the night. Male balls wearing a black jacket, blue jeans, white gym shoes. Gang disturbance. Gang disturbance. Gang disturbance. Product of the night.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Gang disturbance. Gang disturbance. Gang disturbance. Product of the night.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one,
What up,
the
Chef?
only.
Shout out to the Chef.
Product of the night. Gang disturbance.
Waiting on Big D to pull up.
Gang disturbance. Gang disturbance. One had on a black jersey and one was a male Hispanic. Product of the night. Male balls wearing a black jacket, blue jeans, white gym shoes. Gang disturbance.
All right, everyone. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Without any further ado, G-Lew Big D is in the building. All righty. Here we go. What up, Big D? Welcome to the show, brother. It's the G-Lew Show in conjunction with the Big D Keeping It Real channel. And we are back for an all new episode of Let's Talk About It. And I am G-Lew, and that's the homie Big D. Big D, take it over, homie.
What up, everybody? How's everybody doing this Monday? Hopefully everybody's having a good day, and let's get to it. Can you hear me?
Talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yo, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yo, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yo, let's talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, I got the Let's Talk About It shirt on, representing me and the homie. What up, Big D? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good? Yes, sir. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Let's run it, my boy.
Let's run it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the G-Lew Show. I am your co-host, Big D, and welcome back. Hopefully everybody's having a beautiful day today. We got a big topic we're going to talk about, so let's talk about it. So as of many of us has heard, as of today, we had another mass shooting in another school today and around the country. So before I start, I want to send my condolence, to the family and the first responders and all those who responded on today's tragedy. Again, it's very unfortunate, what's taking place in today's society as innocent kids are being targeted, as they're just trying to get up and just start their day, as to go educate themselves and hopefully one day be productive citizens in society in the United States of America. So like I said, I had a show earlier, I put out my video as well, contacted the homie G-Lew, thought it would be very important to not only on my channel, but to come on his channel today, and let everybody know that, what do you guys think and what's taking place in today's, school system, man. It's very, very, very unfortunate. You got to imagine there were 6 victims today that, that had an encounter with another shooter today. So that's what this topic is all about, another mass shooting. So, like I said, let's send our prayers to the city of the state of Tennessee, the volunteer state, which I visited before. To tell you the truth, I was there for like a period, say like a good day, making my way back from North Carolina, coming back to Los Angeles, and it's a beautiful state, to tell you the truth, man. So it's very unfortunate what happened today in today's in that city. I forgot what city it was, to tell you the truth, but in the state of Tennessee. So prayers and go their way to the families and everybody else. Yeah, was it Knoxville?
Nashville or Knoxville?
Right. One of those cities, to tell you the truth. And we want to send our condolences and to make sure, hopefully we can bring some kind of awareness tonight on today's and what's taking place, to tell you the truth, as parents, as just individuals, man. And like I said, it's very haunting and very disturbing to see what's taking place on today's course, man. But like I said, let's get into it. During my life today, a lot of us, like I said, I picked up an article basically, talking about this topic, so let's talk about it. And we're always trying to find solutions and resolutions on why, or always thinking why, these type of tragedies keep occurring, and it's just, we got to make sure to understand that before you try to think why, or, mainly, let's talk about like, basically bringing awareness, to tell you the truth, man. There's a lot of, like I said, a lot of us are parents, and, we send our children out to educate themselves And unfortunately, like I said, you never know when tragedy is gonna strike, especially to you personally. So, I can't imagine the parents that got the call saying that their child is not going to be with them anymore because of a you know a, a silly reaction towards like this today. And it's pretty sad how how we get this every day. We see this. It's starting to be very common. In today's society, where individuals are going back into their school for whatever reason, they think they can attack the children of today. Now, little bit do we
that they
Go ahead.
restructure that system and make it where I don't want to say like metal detectors to have it like looking crazy, but something better to protect, you know what I mean, especially these kids in these schools, because that's the main places these things are happening, where the people are innocent victims and harmless, can't do anything, you know what I mean?
Right. But a lot of us, we want to know and still, why does this stuff happen? Why in the last 20 years, I was looking at the article, like I said earlier, do you know that, most of the time, or should I say, most of the shooters have been 90% of males. And then, to find out today was a female, to tell you the truth, right? And that's just like what a percentage, to tell you the truth. So it doesn't matter, on all honesty, like who's conducting it and who's doing it. The thing is, it shouldn't be done at all. From my understanding is that this individual was a student to this school, right? And like I said, the school was targeted. It was a nice suburban area. Supposed to be a private school, and from my understanding, right? It was I think it was something of a Christian school. A lot of times us students, if us parents, when we put our students into education, mostly they're what up, Cholo? It's coming up as most of us are students. We go to public schools, right? But as you see, that most of our students are being targeted. It doesn't matter if you're going to a public school, private school, junior high, elementary. I mean, even today's colleges are being targeted. So you can't say that a certain school is probably being targeted or so forth, or it doesn't matter the background or the religion of a state of the matter. But it's just that it's just being done too much. And like I said, I was doing a little bit of history earlier, and I was finding out, man, like, why is this happening? And then we find out, like I said, and let me look at this article that I had today. Okay, so I'll go over it a little bit and see and collaborate on this.
Okay.
So it says, why does this keep happening? It's a simple question, but the answers are extremely complicated, and you got to understand it is. We can always say the why, but we never know. We can always say the why, but we can never know, like, what the reason was. And me growing up, I never recall this kind of display or manner or so forth, where children are being targeted. And my mom never preached to me or teach to me, like, hey, if there's a school awareness or there's some kind of shooting, this is what you got to do, or be careful for it. It wasn't like that in the 80s or 70s. I don't know if you remember or recall growing up.
If we heard that, it was very, very like rare, and it was somewhere else, but it was just very rare if we heard something like that. But I don't even recall.
Right.
Yeah.
So so it's very rare, and now it's started to be part of the community and society with today's what we're living in, to tell you the truth. I mean, I think the first time I ever heard of such a thing like this was Columbine High School. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah, that's the first thing I remember. That's probably the first one that was big like that.
Right, the trench coat mafia, what happened in Colorado, right? There was I would say there was young teenagers that were displaying some kind of hatred. They were doing, they wanted to conduct some kind of hateful reaction, and honestly, in all honesty, they pretty much did what they had to do, what they wanted to do, to tell you the truth at that time. So that's what I remember the first time when there was ever a mass school shooting was on Columbine High School.
Yeah.
Ever since that, it's been crazy. Like I said, now it seems like
copycat stuff.
Yeah, exactly. There's been a cause and effect where now young children or students of school are being targeted, and for whatever reason, it seems like that's just you find individuals and young kids going to next to a church, right? You're finding young kids that are just trying to go to school, evaluate and learn and just obtain their education, and they're being targeted. You just never know when now these days when in all honesty, you might get that call where, your children, God forbid, at any time, where they're being targeted or something, schools that locked down and so forth. I had my daughter's school locked down several times. And, I think like 3 times within her time going to school, it's been shut down due to a horrific act or something that happened in the city or something that happened in somebody else states. They shut it down. There are precautions that are being taken, to tell you the truth. But nothing's never done enough to know that, hey, your child's security is not in your hand. As a parent, you want to make sure that your kids go over and they're safe at all times. If you can't send your kids to go to school and to learn, we have a problem. And I think that's where we're at. So we're just trying to bring a little bit of awareness and trying to continue to take place and see what's going on, because these mass shootings they're unacceptable, to tell you the truth, man. Like I said, I
don't get this part. Why not that it's acceptable anytime, but why do they always choose, like I said, harmless people, kids, or like you said, or the church shootings and things of that nature, where they know the people are harmless? You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't, not that it's acceptable anytime, but why do they target even people like that can't do anything, like kids, bro, innocent?
Right. Well, that brings up a good question, because, like you just said it right now, you just answered it. For one, kids are innocent, to tell you the truth. They can't really defend themselves. So you got, individuals that are taking action, to see how they can harm and target the innocent, But let me continue with this article, if you don't mind. It says there are more guns than people in the United States. You got to think that this country itself has 334 million people, and there are 390 guns that are distributed around this country. So that goes to show you already, man. 334 people that are in the United States, but there's 390 guns that are out there, according to a report by the Small Arms Survey. So we have the highest civilian gun ownership in the world by a huge margin. That's extraordinary number relative to the rest of the world. The next countries that have as many guns are war-torn countries like Serbia and Yemen. That alone right there is very disturbing, to tell you the truth. So you're telling me that besides, this country is not a third war-torn country, bro. This country has democracy. We have a government that, represents, 2 sides, or maybe I say like 3 sides of the party. And we still continue to be the leading nation of the world when it comes to children being targeted, when it comes to gun violence.
Right.
So that alone, this is not something that I'm just saying, this is something that's a reality, and it can happen, to tell you the truth, unexpectedly to any of us, whether in California, we have
you never know the mind state of someone. Can get up in the morning, whatever the case, someone, you know what I mean? Just like that.
Right. I mean, we could have a good day on Sunday. We could come out, we could bump the oldies, have a good time, spend time with our family, but you never know what the next day is going to hold, especially when it comes to our children. I want to think that, hey, the closest thing, honestly, that's dear to my heart is my family. That's one of the main things, is my wife and my daughter, and for those who have, an expanded family, you have, boys and girls. I mean, let's be honest about it. Let's keep it real. Let's talk about it. And, nobody, that's the fate of everything. We just don't know when somebody's going to crack. We just don't know when somebody has a mental illness and somebody has a situation, and they're, what they're going to do to at the next second is, we just don't know that.
The homie said, my opinion is that it's not the gun, it's the heart of the person and the lack of God in our society.
That's one of the main things, to tell you the truth. I think that's my cousin. Shout out to my cousin right there, Richard. How you doing, cousin Ricky? And we appreciate your comments, man. So like I said, let me continue reading. A third element in social media, a component that revolves around how people make it okay on social media, the act of violence. I think that's another thing that's being displayed, in today's society as well. As children get to see, they get to pick up, the phone, right? They get to type it whatever they want on social media, whether it's YouTube or anything else. And They get to see, human nature reacting on each other, to tell you the truth. So that's one thing that's been displayed and that's not being taken care of. And as parents, we often want to think that our children are watching the proper things. that they're supposed to be watching on social media and so forth, right? But we're starting to realize that, you know, these children are watching a little bit more than, you know, what they're supposed to tell you the truth. Let's keep it real.
Oh yeah.
Let's keep it real, right? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So whatever, but you know, who's to blame on that one? To tell you the truth, if you really think about it, who's right and who's wrong on that? Is it our responsibility as parents to make sure that, you know, we're monitoring and conducting, you know, making sure that, you know, we're being evident in our child's life and be responsible with what they're watching, what they're displaying, and so forth? Or is it also the act of, you know, social media? Can we blame YouTube and all these other, you know, channels as well for them? You know, who's responsible? That's what it's coming down to. And hand in hand, no, we got to make sure that we are watching what our children are doing, to tell you the truth. That's the way I looked at it. When I was reading this article, I was just like, wow, you know, it's just a true manifestation. I was just like, man, it is. And I'm guilty of that, of what my daughter was watching when I was younger, when she was younger, but we properly trying to manage what she was watching to make sure that she was just not getting negative activity in her mindset, to make sure that, hey, whatever she's doing, it's under our.
We probably take for granted what their kids are taking in because they're young. Like, oh, they're not, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Not thinking they're taking certain stuff in, like you're saying that they're watching. Maybe they are.
Right.
Just because they're kids.
Right. Because, and to be honest with you, a child or a young teen, you know, 12, 13, 14 can type of pornography on there, bro.
Exactly. They can pull up anything.
They can type it, and it's free. It is free. You know, and that's the thing that you know, that's just one demonstration of how these children are just, you know,
it's different today.
Right. It was you know, it was not as free as it was back then. Why stuff in social media is so able, you know, it's so free, more irrelevant than anything than what it was back then. I remember growing up back then, a lot of things were a little harder. You know, parental discretions, advise. If you see it from NWA, you know, it was a parent that, you know, that was monitoring, you know, the children, even through a hard day of work, even though whatever was happening in, you know, in the household and so forth. But social media has taken a course where everything is acceptable if you push the agree button. Okay, that's the part that's crazy. So let me continue to read, if you guys don't mind. They do so in an oblique was saying something like, our country is under threat. We have to stand up for and protect our country. We need to take up arms to defend our country, our way of life. When you do that, you are condoning acts that are dangerous. And that's a prime example right there. You know, once you started making a ledge and you want to attack the, you know, the social media or so forth, you know, it's like there's a blame game that's going on. You know, it's just like, oh, well, this certain group is acting like certain this, you know, that type of group over there, this government official, this state representative, and so forth. We're always blaming, you know, instead of blaming, you know, that we think whatever the matter is, we should be resolving the situation. In all honesty, bro, look, I'm all for firearms. Okay, let's get this into the butt, man. I'm all for firearms. Okay, people. I think, you know, it's one of our amendments. I think we have the right as an individual, as a citizen to this country, we should have the right to bear arms. But the only thing that I'm not, you know, agreeing to is when you buy 2, 3, 4, 5 assault rifles. For what reason? You can't say it's hunting. You know, you can't. I mean, what are you going to hunt? You can't say it was this act or that act. No, you know, that's where the problem. See, there has to be a corporate.
That's where all the mass shootings, they're done by assault rifles mainly, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. You know, it basically seems like your household is a whole militia, right? It seems like, you know, your household is a whole gang, an army, and so forth. When you have 6, 7, 8, you know, assault rifles in your house, basically you're like your own militia, man. You know, you're finding there's so many rounds and so forth. It's like, what are you hunting? Right. You know, what are you displaying? You know, it's
just be banned like that. But face it, the thing is too, for the most part, it should be banned. or a limit, like you said, at least one, you know what I mean? Like you said, and have proof of whatever you need to do with it. You know what I mean? And you need to be doing it, whatever you say you got it for, and it needs to be just like a license or renewal every year, and see your progress and see what you're doing with it. You know what I mean? To enable you to keep it.
Right.
Period.
Because you got to understand, these acts continue to happen. Children are continuing to be targeted. And it's not just children, you know what I mean? These people, there's mass shooters that go into schools, right? You know, there was a West Virginia. Do you remember West Virginia? There was a college. You know, it's a high school, it's a junior high, it's an elementary. You know, these people are targeting students, man, for whatever reason, you know. And a lot of us, you know, we find out, and, you know, we get to see as more of information gets to come out and conduct itself, we start hearing that people are cracking for whatever reason. You know, this individual today, from my understanding, she attended this school, and for whatever reason, you know, looking forward to, you know, for what she had her reasons, or I shouldn't even say she had a reason. She had a reason to go in and target the school for whatever reason. I didn't get into that or whatever, but it doesn't give her the right to go into this innocent, you know, I would say, you know, it was a private school, right? It was a Christian school and so forth. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Muslim, Catholic, or so forth, but they keep going back to these religious communities and so forth. And this was a nice community in Tennessee, to tell you the truth. It wasn't the ghetto or anything else, you know what I'm saying? You know, it was a nice school that was conducted. This individual went to the school and went back, and she thought she had the right, or for whatever reason, to go and do what she did today. And I think that's very wrong. Now, going back to what I'm saying, you know, gun rights, I believe in them. But, you know, I think it's rather one or the other. You should be able to have a handgun or an assault rifle. And not only that, you should be limited in how much ammunition you should get, to tell you the truth. Right? Let's just say if you got an assault rifle, hey, 30 rounds, that's good enough. You know, you don't need 10,000 rounds. It's just like, come on, bro. I mean, who is there an invasion that we don't know that's going on? I know we're you know, we talk about war and so forth and all that, but is it coming to this country? No. If you buy a handgun, I mean, you should be limited to 20 rounds. It's like the same thing. And not only that, do a deeper evaluation on the people who are conducting and buying these weapons, you know, that are very destructive in today's society, man. You know, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. Like I said earlier in my video, I, you know, several times took a gun to school, bro. You know, I don't know if you have or if anybody else or whatever. But see, my mindset was different. You know, I thought I was being targeted. I was in a different neighborhood and so forth. So I thought I had a way of protecting myself. It wasn't to go in to do harm. You know what I'm saying? You know, but at that time, if anything would have transpired or anything could have, any innocent people could have got killed too as well. Because when you start shooting and so forth, a bullet doesn't have, you know, a name or a number and all that. You know, it could go anywhere. You know, bullets go through walls and so forth. So, you know, I put myself in a situation where I didn't even realize, you know, if I could do really, really harm, not only to myself, to other individuals as well. And like I said, but now, you know, now looking back and reflecting on it, I looked at myself today and like, what the hell was I doing, bro? You know what I mean? Why was I carrying a gun for in school, man? You know, is it really that serious? You know, and this is where the conflict's at too. You know, a lot of people don't really think that, you know, that teachers should carry guns. And that's where we're at right now too, right? Whether, you know, a lot of people say that, hey, you know, that we should have, you know, a police officer at present at all time. That makes sense. Yeah. But where does the part go where it says like, hey, you know, where we teach our children, you know, psychologically, if there's anything going wrong with them throughout the day, you know, because a lot of these kids, you know, that are in their homes, like I always believe in cause and effect. You know, there's a lot of things that are taking place when we go to school. There's a lot of bullyism. You know, a lot of these children, they react because they're being bullied. You know, suicide is a big thing in school right now. Now, you know, social media, you know, they bully you. You know, it's not what they tell you at school now. So if, you know, if your child has some kind of connection to the internet on their phone or their laptop or so forth, you know, they're starting to be discriminated and they're getting put out their information and they're being teased and they're being bullied and they're being, now suicide is in, you know, we're starting to hear now suicide. Children are killing themselves because of the bullyism that's happening in today's school. So that goes to show you that our children are compared to my days. I don't know about your guys' days, but compared to my days, it was not that serious. In today's society, things are a lot getting serious where, like I said, students are being targeted. And this shouldn't be even conducted. I remember even back in the days when schools didn't even have a fence or metal detectors or anything of that measure. And now you look at a school, it's fortified. They have fences around it. They got metal detectors and so forth. I mean, that wasn't me back in the days, man. You were able to go along the grass, walk in through the backside. You know, you didn't have to worry about, you know, if there was a teacher or an officer present. We were just able to walk in freely. Now, if you look at today's schools, especially over here in Los Angeles, a lot of these schools, they're like fortified. You know, it's like a fortress. They got bars, they got a fence around it, they got metal detectors. It's just like crazy. You think that's gonna prevent anything from happening? It isn't, you know, it's really not, because we're starting to realize that these children, these kids know how to conduct themselves, and they're gonna get their gun in whether one way or another. And this is what the problem is, and this is what I'm worried about today's school systems, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, because if somebody really wants to do something, they're gonna do it. Like you said, they could, you know, metal detect all they want to do all this, but they're gonna plan it, and if they want to do something, they're gonna do it. You know, that's the thing we can't stop, and that's the hard part. Even like today, no one probably knew, like you said, this area, this school, wherever this happened, no one in a million years probably would have thought this would have happened today. You see what I mean? So it's like sometimes you're unaware to prepare for it because you don't know, you know, like something like this in a place like that. They probably, you know, never expected that.
Because you never know. You know, a lot of people to think, you know, you want to think that, you know, your children are set off to school to go learn and get an education, not to get attacked.
Right.
You know, not to encounter a scary moment within their life where, you know, them themselves can be targeted. I don't remember that, to tell you the truth. You know, the second category of mass shootings are domestic terrorism, right? That's what I'm reading right now. So, you know, domestic terrorism is just people within this country that are doing unfrivolous acts amongst each other. Okay, like today's shooting. We got to remember, man, the last 20 years, how many school shootings have there been, bro? The only school shooting that I remember, like I said from the beginning, is that the Columbine school in Colorado. That's all I remember. Trench coat mafias, right? These young teenagers were looking at videos and so forth, and there was a mass shooting. You know, you saw it on TV. You saw the children jumping off of windows and everything else. You seeing teachers trying to direct these children to safety, man, you know? And then next thing you know, we find out that, you know, how many children were targeted and were killed. And then from that, it's just, you know, the last 20 years after that, man, it's just been, you know, shooting after shooting after shooting. And what I've just read, I mean, these are the statistics right here, man. Out of 65 or 60 shootings, you know, it's mostly been by men or young teenagers. And today, guess what? The killer was a woman. Okay, the killer was a woman today. You know? Now, what does that tell you?
Background on the lady.
Well, from what my understanding was that she attended the school. That's what I know. Okay, so she knows she knew the first level, the second level. She knew her surroundings. She knew the area. You know, she knew how to conduct herself, how to wiggle around the school. And like I said, that gave her access. She knew how to get back through the third door, because now in today's society, you got to look at now and today through all these mass shootings and so forth. You know, they have, you know, there's a good presence of police officers now. But doesn't mean that one cop can cover all doors. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that every gate's going to be locked. Doesn't mean that every door is going to be, you know, chained down and so forth, man. What was that movie? Do you remember that movie, bro?
What?
Where Gangster's Paradise, you know, shout out to
yeah.
You know, rest in peace.
Julio.
Yeah.
Dangerous Minds.
Dangerous Minds. There you go, bro. Right? You got an innocent teacher that was out there presented herself, you know, to educate these kids in the ghetto. You know what I'm saying? You know, doing her thing. And she had a way of dealing with her students, right? Because she met them in the middle. You know, before these kids were rebelled and all that, she wanted to build a relationship and wanted to know why they were acting, you know, the way they were. you know. And if, like I said, it's society the way it is. In certain parts of the country, man, some places are worse than others. Let's just be honest.
Right.
You know, it's tough. It's tough in the hood, man. Chicago's totally different from LA. You know, New York is totally different from Texas. You know, that's what that movie was all about. It was just displaying and showing you guys what students, you know, have to go through, you know, on a daily life, to tell you the truth. And even Christmas Story displays that, man. You know, there's a bully everywhere you go, sad to say. You know, and that's what I'm saying. As parents, we got to make sure that we're monitoring our children, or whatever you think that you could do to your children is not going to be a reflection of what they can do, you know, and outside the household and wherever they go. You know, I myself was bullied, to tell you the truth, in elementary. You know, a big guy like me, to tell you the truth. I remember the guy's name. I remember he used to get me in a headlock, and, you know, he used to do, remember those noogies? You know, they used to just, you know, make you obtain pain, you know. And I was like, man, for what reason? And all it did to me was just build anger in me. All it did was built a lot of hatred in me and so forth, man, where I thought at that moment, man, if the gun was presented, I probably could have did a shooting towards him, to tell you the truth, and target anybody that was around. I mean, I'm just keeping it real. So, you know, bullyingism, it's a real effect on children these days, man, because, you know, you go from a household where your mom and your dad, you know, hypothetically are raising you in a proper manner where you don't display or encounter abuse. And as soon as you go to school, you're like, what the freak, man? What is this kid doing to me? And you don't know if you're supposed to say anything, talk about it, or what. You know, you're just encountering the abuse. And the more abuse that you obtain, you know, it's like anything else. You're going to pop, whether you're going to say something or you're going to react. Now, a lot of us are having concealed weapons in our home. And, you know, we do tell our children and give the information every once in a while, man. We do and we display like, hey, you know, I have a gun. It's in this box right here. This is the code and so forth. But how many times do those boxes are locked? You know, how many guns do this parent or this household has, to tell you the truth? That's the craziest part, man. You know, let me continue to read it, if you guys don't mind. You know, how easy is it to buy a gun? This is crazy right here. In the U.S., you can walk into a gun store and buy as many assault rifles as you want if you have cash and are over the 18 years old. So if you have the money talks, right? We know that today, people. You know, if you have money, you can buy and possess anything, to tell you the truth. You want to buy 50 mansions, you can buy 50 mansions. You want 20 cars, you can buy 20 cars. If you want to buy 20 guns, you can buy 20 guns, you know? So, you know, guns are so easily obtained that it is easy to commit violent crime. We don't do a good job in our criminal justice system of prohibiting people that probably shouldn't have them for securing reasons. And that's another true statement. You know, we're allowing, you know, society and our neighbors next door, you know, our communities, you know, where individuals are going in, they're not getting fully evaluated, and they're just thinking because they haven't done or have no criminal record, we think automatically, oh, this is a good law-abiding citizen. You know, oh, it's okay, you know, for this person to have a gun. You know, but in the back in the days, if you knew me, man, you know, people would have targeted me, say that person right there doesn't need a gun, you know, because I didn't. And to this day, because of my frivolous actions back then, I can't possess one. So I lost the right. You know what I'm saying? But it goes to, let me continue reading. You have passed a gun ownership exam to show that you can use it safely. You have to maintain license requirements, right? We don't do that in the U.S. where we're going the other way. Texas last year made it easier for people to get a gun in what was already an incredible permissive state. And that's what I'm saying. There's some states that are already that, you know, have, you know, Arizona's, I think, is another one, man, where, you know, they go and they do a certain amount of background, and then next thing you know, they could, you know, supply themselves with the whole armory, to tell you the truth. Like I said, it's their own militia. I mean, one person doesn't need no more than, I think, one gun, to tell you the truth. And like I said, if it was me, it was whether an assault rifle or a handgun. and ammunition. You can't have no more than 30 rounds, right? Because most of them want to say like, hey, it's for protection, it's for our household, just in case anybody wants to violate it, and it's only my right. Okay, I believe in all that. But to arm yourself with like 50 guns, I got a shotgun, handgun, assault rifle, and so forth, that is crazy, man. You know, it's just, it doesn't make sense. You know, I mean, what kind of hobby do you have, you know, where you feel and let me tell you something. These people right here, man, that are making the guns and selling the guns and so forth, the NRA and all that, man, they're making money, bro. They're making money. If you haven't been behind a firearm and shot it, man, you know, there's two things that could happen. You're going to enjoy it, or you're going to be scared of it, because guns are fearful at the same time. You know, it's one thing to shoot a gun, but let me tell you something, man. It's one thing to encounter it and be shot at. That's another thing too. Now, you remember, the man right here, Big D, has been shot at many a times, and I've been hit, you know, 2.5 times, to tell you the truth. I've been skinned, and I've been shot twice. So I can understand.
From 5 minutes, Pee Wee Locals, West Side Whittier.
And I'm not trying to condone that, people. But if you see me now from back then, 20 years ago, from now where I'm at now, you know, it's a totally different reaction from what I used to think back then. And like I said, our kids are being endangered. And the reason why I say that, because I have a young child, and she's already on her way to going to college. And I'm actually a little, you know, fearful. I'm actually a little scared, because it's not just elementaries that this is happening, junior highs or high school. You know, if we remember, you know, was it West Virginia or Virginia, you know, where college students are being targeted, to tell you the truth. So it's just like, you never want to get that call. And we got to remember, people, we can't say, oh, never say never. I'm not the one that's going to happen to. There's millions of people. There's 330 people in this country. It ain't going to happen to me. Don't ever say that. Don't ever say that it could happen to you, because, you know, once you start saying that, then you're inviting, you know, the worst thing that could happen to you in life. And when it happens, you're not prepared for it. That's all I'm saying. Let's continue to read.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. A criminal background is run, but no one keeps track of what you bought, or how much you paid for it, or what you do with it when you walk out the door. You could buy 20 assault rifles, drive to Washington, D.C., and sell them, and nobody knows it, because there is no reporting mechanism to identify that you sold the guns, man. That is crazy. So you could buy 20 guns at a firearm position, and after that, you could go and sell it to anybody else, because there's no track. You know, I thought there was. I thought when you're buying the gun, that substantially that it goes into your record, and obviously it's saying that there's not. You know,
they have to put it on the records and knows who it is. That goes with the serial number and everything.
But that's what I thought. But it's saying it's not. So what kind of law are they displaying? So it's just like, once you buy, you know, I thought it's always, you know what I mean? It's like reference, right? You know, it's paperwork. You buy one gun, there's a serial number, you put it in file.
Yep.
But this is saying that there's not, because look what else is saying. It's a crime to sell a gun to a convicted felon. Hello. You know, or to take them out of a state to sell. But our penalties are so lax that it is not a deterrent. A straw buyer, look at this, is what it's called. A straw buyer is a person who buys guns legally and then illegally sells them for profit. There are a small number of gun stores that welcome straw buyers and substantially represent easy funnels for guns in illegal locations. Straw buyers go to stores where they're known that they can walk in with $30,000 or $40,000 in cash and walk out with a bunch of pistols and assault rifles and go back to the streets and sell them for more money. No, that is crazy. Now, let me tell you something. If you've been to a gun show, I've seen that there, right?
Yeah, you could just go over there and just buy whatever.
Right? That's what I'm saying. So this is what they're talking about, because I went to a gun show one time, and I asked this person, like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool, you know, right away, you know, they're being salesmen at the same time. Oh yeah, just sign up, this gun is cheaper and so forth, you know, go and buy it. And I told him, oh, you know, I can't buy guns, you know, because of my background. And the first thing he said is that we could work around that. He told me that. Literally. But you know, if the prices,
people love those gun stores, bro. You could just go there and get whatever, pretty much. It's free for all, you know what I mean? Or
It's
you
like-
can get around it. If you do got some issues, like they said, you can 9 times out of 10 get around them.
You could get around it.
Who else to buy it for you? If you got the money talks, bro, all day.
There it is. This is America, baby. You know, anything's possible, man. You know what I mean? This is where dreams are made, and where they say what you can do, you could do here. You know, for the right price. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's coming down to. But it's also scary because this is what I'm talking about. We wonder why, you know, if there's a hole within the system, man, you know, how do you think, you know, people feel about, you know, anything else about society? Hey, if I could possess myself, you know, with guns and so forth, man, why not? You know, it just makes it a lot easier for the people who are not mentally stable, who have, you know, whatever they're going through, to buy a gun. It's saying it right here, and to conduct what they're, you know, the unbearable, the unreasonable, man, and targeting people. To tell you the truth, it doesn't matter if you're a child, a teen, a young adult, or old adult. We see it hand in hand all the time, where in the last 25 years, innocent people are getting killed, man. And that's, you know, and we're starting to see more and more of it. I just told you earlier that we are the leading nation when it comes to school shootings, man. And the other 2 countries behind us, these are third world countries, war-torn countries that are having the same problems, where they go in for whatever malicious reason, and, you know, they attack, you know, innocent people. This is America, man. You know what I'm saying? That's where it trips me out the most. And it's a tragedy because, like I said, you know, it hits home when it comes to this kind of, you know, frivolous act, you know, when people are targeting our children. And like I said, you know, us people, I mean, how much really would this get, you know, publicized? How many people will know, like, hey, you know, man, we're over there on the G-Lew show, man, they're talking about, you know, what happened today and so forth, or in Big D's channel, or any other channel, to tell you the truth, man. You know, when it comes to, you know, situations like this, we think like, oh, you know, the social media and the local news, you know, they're covering the footage. But then again, a lot of people are not even looking at that, to tell you the truth. And then when it comes to over here, that's why we try to share the information that you guys are not, you know, they're missing. And hopefully that you guys could take this information and realize, man, what's taking place in your own communities, you know? So, you know, like I said, man, let's keep reading. Let me continue to read on this, man. So why is screening a person who wants to buy a gun so important, man? I mean, that says it itself, you know what I mean? Why is it so important to screen a person who's purchasing a firearm? I mean, because you want to make sure that the person is mentally stable, to tell you the truth. You know, you got to go back into their background. I mean, there should even be screenings on when you go into relationships these days, to tell you the truth, because you never know what you're going to get. You know, the guy looks good on the outside, or the female dude looks good on the inside, or whatever, you know, but you never know what their background is, to tell you the truth, that she's been divorced 3 times, or if he's been, you know, his financial, you know, the IRS is after him and so forth, man. You deliberately got to make sure, you know, be very observant and on who you hang around with and who you socialize, to tell you the truth, man. So let's read this. There are people who should have been red flagged, that who, you know, prelude a gun ownership. But we don't have that in place. We could look over the last 20 or we could look over the past 20 or so years at some of the major school shootings. Like, here we go. These are the last 20 years. And this is telling the truth. This is more than facts, people. Parkwood, Florida. Newtown, Connecticut. Columbine, Colorado. You know, Uvalde, Texas, right? We know that one. Recently, even the shooting in Buffalo, New York, these were people that had a history of mental illness or had a history of being bullied and were threatening to lash out. People don't seem to connect the risk factors to gun ownership and the proximity for substantial violence, and that is just a tragedy. So that goes to show you that a lot of these shooters have mental problems, you know, so forth. So the screening in today's society to buy a gun is horrible. Horrible. In other words, if you're 18 years old and you never had nothing in your thing, then you're going to get the gun.
Just like being a cop is easy these days. If you're 18 years old, you pass a little training they do, you're a cop, bro. I mean, you know, it's like, I don't know.
It is, and it's true too, because you know, when you're dealing with people and you want to be a law enforcement, you got to know how to handle people, correct? And that's, being a rookie, I don't think they even teach you that besides, working in a county jail,
Yep.
and that's what it
sheriffs.
Right. When it comes to the sheriff. So, that's why you have good cop, bad cop, good cop, a lot of these cops, they see very, very, traumatized, whether it's things that they encounter, whether it's physically what they see or physically what they encounter, to tell you the truth. And that's the part that's scary, because when you start obtaining, you see so much tragedy and trauma within imagine cops, or even the first responder. Let's just say, people who are EMTs, right? The ambulance, they just say in a toxic community, where there's drugs and gangs and so forth, man, they could see 10 overdoses and three shootings in one day. And psychologically, man, how do when they obtain that?
That's real. That's real, bro. That's real, bro.
That's just like, dude, you know what I mean?
Like stuff we hear on a daily basis, or like the weekend is probably definitely crazy.
Right? Give me a beer, man. Give me, matter of fact, give me a whole bottle, to tell you the truth, man. I don't want freaking joint, man. Give me cocaine, because I gotta weight my mind. My mind can't tolerate that. With what I'm seeing, and that's the part that, like I said, is pretty crazy. Now, here's another question: what is the role of social media in all this? Right? We were talking about social media earlier, so let me read this. It has a powerful role because the far-right extremism, the Buffalo shooter was a self-radicalizing domestic terrorist. He had a strongly held belief about the infringement of races on the Caucasian race. That's what's another thing, we don't know what these people, when they act, it could be an infringement of anything, right? It's a racial act, it's a psychological act, and so forth. He was a follower of the far-right extremists, direct, and used some of that he found as rationalizing the act of commit violence. And we're talking about, like, these people who are, like, all into Nazism and so forth, the KKK and all that stuff, man. They, like I said, we have been dealing with certain, all these, tragedies with these people coming in and think they conduct and doing their violence, no matter where they get in. And social media has a big influence into it, to tell you the truth. It is not true for every shooter. In Columbine, Newton, Uvalde, these were bullied misfits. See, that goes to show you. Not everything's going to be locally all racist and all that. It comes, all these shootings, these other shootings were bullied misfits. They didn't fit in groups and had a history of being marginalized by their peers. They found a different path for getting even, that was through violence. That's what I'm saying. So when you're involved in so much hatred, it's directed towards you, man. People are gonna lash out, bro. You put a line in its corner, man. And I guarantee you, man. You keep messing with it, it's gonna lash out. Try it. Your dogs would do that, man. Individual, you put a certain individual, you keep bullying them, they're gonna lash out, man. And how they lash out, don't think they're gonna flick a finger on you, man. People do things different dramatically, man. They'll get a gun and they're gonna come out and they're gonna target innocent people. And it's crazy because they don't target the bullies. To tell you the truth, they target the bully and everybody else. Yeah. That's the crazy.
I don't like they always target the innocent ones, or the ones that's, I don't know, bro.
That's what I'm saying. It's not like I say, okay, I was bullied, I'm gonna go shoot the guy that bullied me. It doesn't work like that, man. They're gonna go shoot everybody in that classroom and then some. And that's what we're starting to do, because already, that their socket already popped.
Yeah, once they start, they got that blower is blowing. They just blowing away.
And that's it. And so we kind of wonder why things are happening, like I'm trying to display and share with you guys.
And they got these video games too. They picture the same type of stuff when they're doing this too. They picture that video game they're playing too.
That's crazy, right? And not only that, when you play some of these games, like I've been playing them, and what's crazy is that the people that you play with are how you get to, evaluate these kids, man, how, where their mindset is at, because they're nothing but cursing, throwing racial, being racial on there, like, oh, like, F you, mother freaker, you son of a... Yeah. And all I'm trying to do is play a freaking game, man, you know what I'm saying? And it's not just young kids, it's girls. I mean, it's not just
gaming.
boys.
I think that gaming thing is serious now, bro. That's
girls,
real,
right?
Money, all type of that stuff is big now. So I can imagine.
Right, because you know what? If you go to a child, right, and all he knows how to do when he comes home is play video games, and you take that away from him, bro, it's on and cracking, bro. It's on and cracking. When you take it, you know, you heard about that student that killed that teacher, right? Because he took away from what was, he had some Down syndrome and so forth, and all he knew was, by the teacher taking away, his game or whatever. He took that as a disrespect and not knowing, realizing he didn't realize that, that it was going to cause his life, because that's what they're accustomed to. Right. So like I said, if you notice, man, a lot of these kids, man, that are mentally distraught, that have challenges and so forth, they're the ones that get bullied the most, to tell you the truth. You go into school. I remember I seen it happen when I was in school, man. Raise your hand, man. Give me a number.
Everyone went through some type of bullying at one time or another in their life, right. I'm sure. Unless you were.
Right. If you experience
at one time or another, you went through some form of or fashion of it,
Whether you've seen it or done it. Let's just be honest, right? I mean, if you guys ever been in that situation, man, throw a 1 on there, whether you saw, bullyism or you were part of bullyism. Like I tell you guys, I was bullied for several years, to tell you 2 years in a row. And I was just like, man, to that point until we got to junior high. And then I realized I got a little bigger. And then when I put hands on this guy, then everything was different. And that's when I started realizing, oh, bro, Big D could do a lot of things, man. You know what I mean? So, right. And I never, but one thing, I never, counter-reacted. I was always, for those who couldn't defend themselves. I was always for the ones who you couldn't protect. So if I saw some kind of bullyism that was taking place, I would be over there, hey, bro, what the heck's going on, man? Leave them alone, or so forth, Right. I was the advocate, because if you
brought back more, man, like that will stop that stuff. Some other people need to step up,
right.
What I mean, when that bullying stuff is going on, because that's just messed up. When someone is defenseless and you just know they can't defend themselves, or you know what I mean, and you pick on them or take advantage of them, homie, that's just foul, man. You know what I mean?
It is, and then to know you, and then you see, as parents, like we were saying earlier, they come home and you can see the change in your child's, their emotions, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, a lot of us, we got to be able to identify, the bullyism, like I said, the mental. The mental destruction.
Different kids. All kids are different. Every kid, even if you got a son or something, he may not be one that's gonna be ready to fight or throw down or stand. He may different. So you gotta know how to handle that as well. You know what I mean? And some parents or fathers will just go hard on their boy or whoever, and he just may not be like that. You know what I mean? And then you steer him away too. Because he doesn't know how to deal with you.
Right, and that's what's crazy. Because a lot of us we're made different, bro. Right. What I mean? Some of us are bigger than others, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Especially, when it comes to, and there's not too many eyes. There's not enough eyes to monitor what's taking place, behind, behind the restroom or behind the, the hallways and so forth, man. It could frivolously just be done in real quick and in
like that frivolous word tonight, huh?
Yeah, right. It could be done in an instant, man. And like I said, and what's even crazier now is that even a lot of these teachers and so forth, these TAs, there's tutors, assistants, and so forth, man, they see it happening, and they, for some reason, they choose to turn their head the other way and not making it, awareness. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing that I have to say, that is just because I remember that too as well. Where there was an incident and the TA or even the security, they turn their head and they act like, oh, that didn't happen, so forth. And I remember these guys, man, were messing with some girl, and they were pulling her hair and so forth. And I was like, what the freak is going on? And she kept on saying, stop it. And these kids thought that, I think they were brothers, if I remember. And they were just attacking her and pulling her hair. And they would pick on her, not just one day. They picked on her for like that whole school year, bro. And nobody really said anything, because a lot of us, we don't know who to go tell. We don't want to be tattletales, and we don't want to be, ratting or so forth, getting ourselves in a situation where, man, we could be bullied as well. So everything is conducted from the beginning, man, and then how we, treat ourselves. And we find out later on in life, why people act the way they do is because they were being bullied when they were young, and then there's no, there's no way where where they could go. Yeah, there's no way where these kids, they have a way where they could go. We're not being taught that, man. I was never taught that. I was never, hey, well, I heard of it and they mentioned it, but they were not being religious about it. They were not saying like, hey, man, if you see bullyism, just say something. Okay, it was just that easy, and then we go over a couple scripts and that was it, man. But now these days and these times, things are a lot different, man. And like I said, now we got social media involved, so they could attack your children through social media, and we are not even monitoring, our kids' phones and who's following them and so forth, and who's on Instagram. It's just crazy, man, and it's just crazy. Let me keep reading this, bro. There are hundreds of podcasts and thousands of self-proclaimed thought leaders, and they write really nasty, vicious stuff and have followers, right? We know that, man. We see Adam 22 and all these guys, they be putting stuff out there like if it's just like crazy, man, and they're damaging people's lives and their relationships and so forth, man. If you watch the Kardashians, man, it's horrible, man, and they think it's okay to bully the dad, and the dad turns into, something else, and it's just like, man, I'm just saying, I'm saying, I'm keeping it real. Some of these people act on what they read. No government entity does a good job countering messaging extremists. That's what I'm saying too. The government really don't care, man. But who's responsible for this kind of stuff? I think mostly it has to be the parents. But if you have a disruptive household, who's really gonna monitor these kids, man? That's what's just crazy, man. Let me continue to read, man. How does bullying play into this, man? Schools don't do a great job with bullying prevention. That's true too, right? I never heard of anything of bullying prevention. I heard of drug prevention. When I remember when Ronald Reagan came out and they had the what was it? The DARE. Drugs against whatever.
We had the shirts. Remember the shirts?
Yeah, the DARE shirts and all that. But I never encountered or heard anything like, bullying prevention or so forth. One of many areas of research is bullying or cyber bullying too. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, cyber bullying, right? Through internet and so forth, man. You see people, young teens are committing suicide because they have a friction with another, classmate or another individual. I don't even know how. I don't understand why these kids, they just can't delete those people. Why would they continue to have them on as friends and all that, and they continue to get, harassed, and then until they do some frivolous act themselves? That's what's crazy. If there's cyberbullying is another thing. I work with schools and we talked about bullying identification. See, that's one thing that it's crazy. Bullying identification, it needs to be done. Schools don't do that until it is too late. Right? Schools need to adopt bullying and cyberbullying identification measures and then practice them. See, that's a good way of doing it, because that's where what's taking place. If we could come to where we recognize bullying, where us are being bullied, we have to it's just like you said, the DARE program. If you see drugs, you got to react. Hey, say something, man. If somebody's doing drugs or selling it or using it in your school, they want you to, to say something. We got to teach our kids that it's all right when it comes to bullyingism, that we can identify it and also say something. There's nothing wrong. We're so caught up with, where we just turn our head the other way. We're not listening to our kids, man. I tell my daughter every single day, like, hey, babe, is everything all right at school? Yeah. Is there any bullyism going on in your school? No. Is everything all right with your friends? Yeah. And I'm always evaluating her, because I tell her, and then she tells me with confidence, bro. She'd be like, man, nobody better bully me because I want to be on them, Dad. That's how I know that my daughter is up to par when it comes to bullying them, because she had a response.
Right.
She's telling me like, hey, Dad, if anybody ever does something to me, I already know. And that's where it's both, again, it's the parent's responsibility. Sometimes there's single home parents, man, where it's just a mother that's there or just a father. So it's hard for them to identify and to communicate, when two are better than one. When you're letting your mom and your dad know that there's a problem, then, hopefully one of the parents will take action or course. But when you just have a hardworking mom that's there, it's hard. And she has 3 kids that she's raising. It's hard to listen to your child when it comes to bullying, because a lot of us, we want to say that, hey, it's okay, don't worry, make peace, be a friend and so forth, And that's the part that's what's scary, because, us, like I said, we have to be accountable for our children, man, and we have to make sure. That's why people take advantage when there's separation or divorce, or tragically, for whatever reason, you have a parent that, had a passing because of sickness and disease and so forth, man. That's why I'm saying we got to be accountable for one another. And that's why this platform and what we're doing today, what I did on my channel and your channel, we could hopefully bring awareness, to what's going on. Hopefully somebody will come across, what we're talking about today and say, hey, it is okay, because whether we do or not, it's showing, scientifically that the shootings are going to continue, bro. It ain't going to stop, man. It's not going to stop at any time. And, that's a scary thought. Let me continue to read. That some logic can be applied in schools and to enable citizens to get involved in terrorism prevention. See, that's where it goes. We got to get involved and participate, man. Students can be empowered to identify bullies, and then the school can come in to support fellow students. But you know what's crazy about that too, man? Because I remember a long time ago too, my daughter was encountering another female bullyism, and the school didn't do anything. To tell you the truth, I was a little upset about that. I even have
anything in place, like you said, to do. They'll listen and okay, well,
yeah,
that's it. Until something happens, it's too late.
Yeah, I even had my uncle, bro. And to tell you the truth, my uncle, my cousin encountered a bully, bro. He was a football player, and this is real talk right here, bro. And he socked my cousin in the chest, bro, and a little bit below the chest. And my cousin had to go and get surgery. He fractured his jaw, bro, too.
Damn.
Yeah, if I remember, I'm keeping it real. He fractured the jaw because this student was a football player, and he was one of the top players. They really didn't do anything. And I remember my uncle was so upset, bro. Like, he called the big dogs, like, hey, bro, we need to go do this. You know what I mean? My uncle, when it comes to your children, this is the cause and effects of things. Right. I can honestly say my uncle wanted to handle some business. So he calls me, right? Because, big D's with the game, you know what I'm saying? And right, we're plotting, you know what? Well, I got to be careful what I say, dog. You know what I'm saying? We were actually, my uncle, as a parent, my uncle was very upset, bro, because, he had to take his son, he broke my cousin's jaw, bro. He fractured it, bro. And and he was bullying another student, and they were reporting. The school system didn't do anything, man. And then when it came to that certain situation, my uncle was heated. He went to file the police report. And to make a long story short, the police told him, if anything happens, he goes, well, we know where you live at. They're already threatened, Wow. But my uncle said, well, what about this individual? Can we press charges and so forth and this and that? And they kind of made an attempt, to do it, but there was really nothing for whatever reason, they couldn't do anything, man. And that's what I'm saying. And from my understanding, the other, team, his parents were all involved in gangs and so forth. So, imagine just, seeing what he was coming up from compared to my uncle's house. Everything's all nice and dandy. You're raised properly. You have the regular problems and so forth. But there was never bullyism, and this kid was bullying 2 kids of that school where he actually, my uncle had to pay like so many thousands with their insurance and all that, because they had he fractured my cousin's jaw, bro, and he also hit him in the stomach where he developed a cyst. He ended up developing a cyst like 2 weeks later because the impact that my cousin encountered, bro. And there was nothing that this kid didn't get, go to jail or anything. He didn't get charged for assault or anything. So that's kind of weird. Like, I'm saying, me thinking that right now, man, where like, that we need to be responsible and there has to be more disciplinary action when it comes to, on child abuse and so forth. We could go and say, well, we could do bullying prevention and so forth. But if you're not, if you're not going and prosecuting these children for their malicious acts, then what good is it, bro? You know what I'm saying? What good is it, if you go over there and you tell the principal, hey, my kid is being bullied, and as a matter of fact, his jaw's broken, Hey, well, you know what I'm saying? Well, there's nothing really that we can do. Okay,
you can't prove it.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really prove it and so forth. There's not enough evidence, so they want to be political and take, the jury in his own hand, And that's what I'm saying with these kids, man. It's just like the system is here to upset you, man. You know, and that's the problem that I really really hate. You know, because you know you could prepare for the worst, but you could but hope for the best. You know what I'm saying? That's where it seems like it's at, man. You know, you go out there, it's just like, okay, so hey, son, daughter, you go have a nice day in school. Hopefully you come back. I mean, is that the times we're living in right now? Is that the acceptance that we're really taking course, and is that the path that we're being directed, where it's just like bullyingism, social media, students, are you got to be careful, because at any time, this student could pop a socket and he's going to come back with a knife or a gun, and it's possible that your children are going to be targeted, bro. I mean, that's just, to me, it's just disgusting, man. Some people talk about arming teachers. That's another one, like I think we talked about, man. I don't think that teachers should even be armed in these situations, to tell you the
I
truth,
don't
man.
think so. I don't think that's gonna do anything or solve anything. You know what I mean? Because it's just gonna make. I think when people just have guns for whatever, that intensifies. A situation can be intensified, and it may not even be all that. And then a teacher that's kind of scary, she's gonna pull her gun out and be ready to shoot someone, and it's not even that type of situation. You know what I mean? So it could be handled not properly. So I don't think that helps anything. I think no one should have guns, like you said. If anything, have armed. I don't know, man. That's just that's a thing you have to explore, because there's a lot of factors in that, man.
Right, but
But they got to do these
one
kids.
beautiful thing is that, one beautiful thing, there's options, right?
Yeah,
we always got to know that there's options, bro. You know what I'm saying? And as much as security that has been done and so forth, I think that, man, there's nothing wrong with having a professional there. Okay. Yeah. A professional, like from my understanding today,
not just no regular security, because how they get regular security card. You see all type of people. I be looking at some of these cats like, you ain't gonna do nothing, homie, if it go down. So right. It's like you said, professional people, man.
Right, I'm talking about like ex-military, police officers,
real ones,
people that demonstrated and have some kind of custom of, when it comes to protect and to serve. You know what I mean? Are you going to teach a teacher not only to bear arms and to protect the children, but to teach at the same time? I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like sending mixed messages, But then again, you don't want to do no kind of prevention or some kind of like, bullyingism prevention and so forth, because of money or whatever the situation is, man.
And keep it real, they're only going to enforce that or have those like at schools in the ghettos and stuff, where they think it's teachers need protection, and then the whole time the real shootings are going on at the schools they don't even think. You feel me? So
right. Try to put those kind of securities right there in Chicago or New York or Los Angeles or some tough neighborhoods or some forth, right? Over there in South Central and Compton and all that stuff, and see what happens, man. So, these kids already, if you perpetrate that, letting them know that, man, these teachers are armed, to them it's like a game sometimes, psychologically. You never know they're going to be in there like, oh yeah, this is like a game. So now I get to kill these kids. And then and then the only person that's going to come at me is the teacher. You don't know what these kids and these mental people are, what they're displaying or what's in their head at all times, man. It's just crazy, man. Let me see what it says. What do you think of what as a way of prevention? Several years ago, Virginia considered doing that. I did a report for the Department of Criminal Justice Service in Virginia on the merits and risks of arming school personnel. Most high schools have an armed resource officer or on the scene. I didn't even know that. But most elementary schools don't. Arming teachers or school personnel is an incredible dangerous enterprise that could lead to death of the person because of police respond to a shooting and see someone with a gun. I mean, imagine, you go into class, man, and your teacher has a gun, how would you think of that as a student?
I'll say that's not a good look, man.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And not only that, let's just say the teacher had, for whatever reason, accidentally leaves the gun somewhere and a student picks it up.
Yeah.
Accidents are not preventable, man. I mean, they are, but we don't live in a perfect world, bro. You know what I'm saying? We don't live in a world where we could say like, okay, you know what I mean? The teachers, she's been trained and so forth, and you know what I mean? But she never encountered the situation. So hopefully we pray that she does the right thing at the right time. You know what I'm saying? That is just crazy. Arming teachers or school personnel is an incredible danger. Okay, I read that. If that person, because if police respond to a shooting and see someone with a gun, they are going to shoot them. Yeah, you know, it's a conflict of interest, man. What about if the police come in, the teacher has a gun, and you never know what to offer. Right away, he's thinking shoot to kill, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, this could be a lot of confusion and so forth. Or the teacher could accidentally shoot another staff member or police officer, or in the worst case of a student. At Uvalde, there was a police resource officer on scene. At Columbine, a school resource officer was on scene. At Parkland, a school resource officer was on scene. If a train
is a resource officer.
Exactly. So it goes to show you that, you know, that they have people that were trained and have some kind of protection to fight back, and still it happened. It still happened. If a trained police officer can't prevent a school shooting, what we're talking about, what are the chances that a teacher who is not well trained can prevent a school shooting?
Right.
I don't mean to laugh or anything. I'm sorry, man.
But it's true, bro. They don't have the they're not, and they shouldn't have to worry about how you know how to go about a situation. You know what I mean? Because 9 times out of 10 they're gonna panic, and the wrong thing is gonna happen. You know, like I said, they may shoot unintentionally just because they're panicked. You know what I mean? Anything, it could hit a kid. You know, it's a lot of things that just they're not prepared for, and they shouldn't have to make those type of decisions when they're there just to teach. You know, so. Like I said, they just not. They shouldn't have them. But same time, like, you know, people are gonna beg to differ, because like you said, you just never know. But I just think things have to be done. You know what I mean? But they just got to be figured out properly. I don't think it's just that cut and dry. Oh, give teachers guns, because that doesn't solve anything, man.
Right, because just like how DD just said right now, Uvalde in Texas, man, the cops didn't even go inside. You know what I'm saying? So that goes to show you that even the police officers that were apprehended and that were properly trained and so forth, they didn't even go in there. You know, this is where we're at. This is how much, like I said, man, we wake up, like I said, early in the morning. And like some places, like where you're at, you know, it's 3 hours ahead. So when we're waking up to some tragedy news sometimes, man, across the world or across the nation, to tell you the truth, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Let me read this. We live in a country where two competing, there's paragrams, you know. On the other paragraph is that everybody needs a gun, and then we'll be safe, you know. You know, everybody thinks, so if you have a gun, that we're gonna be okay, you know. And that's not the occasion, man, right? That's not the occasion. That's a lie from the pit of hell, to tell you the truth. Just because you think that you have a gun
is not gonna save you. We used to think that, you know, you got a gun, but
in the neighborhood, right?
It don't matter. Like, you could have 100 guns. That's why people have all these assault rifles. All it's gonna take is one bullet to finish you if it goes down, homie. All those guns ain't even gonna matter. So, but I get it, but it's like, nah, it's just like, I don't know, Big D. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it takes all that.
After the Sandy Hook shooting, there was a huge motivation for a gun control, limiting who could buy guns and their kind of guns people could buy. I think we were talking about that a little earlier, right? That faded away rapidly. I expect that the same thing will happen here, and it's depressing to say that, but I say very little political will too interact and have meaningful changes on what's taking place of today. And that's true, because, you know, it also becomes a political thing, bro. You know, I'm surprised the president came out. I heard earlier, you know, that the president, he was aware of the shooting, but he didn't even want to announce it or so forth until he was ready to say something, you know, for whatever reason. And right. Like I said, it happens it seems to be happening on I ain't going to say every president time, but as of lately, like every president has encountered this, man. So it's a political situation too. And that's one thing that I hate and I can't stand. You know, this side wants to blame that side wants to blame this side. You know, we want to blame the NRA and so forth. And what we don't understand is that it's people who are doing the damaging of the guns. So we lose our privileges because of these actions that are people that are taking place. So, like I said, I don't think people need no more than one gun, to tell you the truth. If anything that could be solved, I think it's just one, because this person, this individual that went in today with 2 assault rifles, from my understanding, and 2 handguns. So what the heck was she gonna do? Who knows, man? You know what I'm saying? Now, if you make guns harder to get, and then you will have less mass shootings and so forth, right? But since we're just giving,
she went in there with 2 assault rifles and 2 handguns. Like,
from
what
my
was she,
understanding,
strapped down like Terminator? Like, how does she have this stuff?
from my understanding, that's from my understanding. Look at my cousin, right? He purchased some guns, man. He was able to buy like 5 guns within 1 month, legally.
No, but I'm trying to say, how did she walk in there like that? Like 2 assault rifles.
She went. From my understanding, she went on like
2 handguns, bro. Like, she was like Terminator, bro. And this is a female.
Exactly. But like I said, these days, I mean, children do this stuff, man. Teenagers have conducted this. This is just the one female that, as of recently, has done this stuff. Domestic terror, man. It doesn't matter. When violence comes, man, it doesn't come in any kind of shape or form, bro. It's gonna come no matter what. Whether if it's a guy, a girl, a kid, or whatever else that comes with it, man. That's why I'm saying, we're trying to get to this where it's prevention. Let me read this. I guarantee you that there is going to be another one a year, or another one a year after. It's going to change it ain't going to change until people develop a political will to support meaningful gun changes. Like I said, I'm all for gun rights, to tell you the truth, man. But I'm also for the rights of, like, it's called control. Like, man, you know what I mean? How many guns should you be possessing? You pick one, bro. Like, if it was me, I'd be like, you pick one, whether a handgun or assault rifle.
Now the problem is, like you say, when they produce so many guns, regardless if they're registered or not, they're out there on the streets, man, and people are getting them, buying them however they can, black market, registered or not, they're out there. You know what I mean? So they're out there for real. Believe that.
The more guns you produce,
about that, because the more you produce, the more that's just like what it is. The more you produce, they're not like they're just sitting somewhere. They're gonna be put out there and put to use.
And
wrong hands or not.
Right. And like I said, even social media, is displaying this, bro. You see kids, you know what I mean, on YouTube. Like I said, I came across this channel, and it's always showing, you know what I mean, that these everywhere in the United States, man, these guys are shooting at each other, man. I don't know if you came across that video or that website. And these guys are just blasting at each other, man. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm just like, dude, this is freaking crazy. I mean, now I'm looking at a website in Ukraine, bro, and it shows, you know what I mean, how Ukrainians are going on. They're just shooting the Russians and so forth. And it's on live. I showed my cousin like 2 days ago or last week, I think, and he tripped on the whole video. He's like, nah, I go, look, I'm going to show you a video where the guy, they're fighting, for freedom. They're not doing frivolous acts or something like that. They're fighting for their freedom and so forth. And then the Russian guy comes up and the homie just does them. Boom, 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 boom. Now that's different, but it still goes to show you, like, we have, where you could put on parental discretion, that advise, like I said, right? But, kids these days are, the thing will come up, right, on your phone or whatever. But if the kid, no parents are around, all they have to do is just press OK, bro, and they get to see everything and anything that's on it, bro. It's not like it's fully restricted, like you can't see it or watch it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, if you're not paying attention, somebody else is, man. Let me see. I expect gun sales will. This is crazy, man. I expect that there will be some change in the laws, but won't do substantial, improvements. It will provide political cover for some people to say what are we doing? We are making things safer, but we are not making things safer, but they won't make things safer. I expect gun sales will go up more because people now feel likely that they will have to protect their gun rights and themselves and family members because of the government isn't doing what they're supposed to do. So when it becomes a political party, like, a debate, and we hear like, oh, they're going to take our Second Amendment, or this is going to happen. What do people do? They're going to go buy more guns, bro, more ammo and all that stuff. So you initiate, what's taking place.
But you got to look, it's never going to be, you got to look, for all these years, they always talk about gun laws and things they're going to do. Like you said, nothing is ever done. Is because at the end of the day, I don't know as much they can do because they want to make gun laws, but at the same time, they're in the NRA is in their pocket. You know what I mean? They work together, man. It's like the NRA is big, bro. Right. You know what I mean? They have big contributions to people. They're tied to a lot of big stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't just cut them off, and they know that.
Right.
It's
So what
hard for them to
what
work. They try to work around them, but in the meantime, NRA is not stopping mass production of guns and what they do, and they can't stop them.
there's more guns than people in this country, bro. That is scary,
Exactly.
bro. You know, that is very and who knows if that number even is accurate, to tell you the truth. You know what I'm saying? From my understanding, I see people like, you see my cousin, he has 5 guns on him, bro. You know what I'm
The
saying?
guns being produced every day. I mean, mass. I'm sure way more guns are made every day than people are born every day.
It's a big business, man. How are you gonna go in there and knock it
Like
out?
dope, drugs and guns go hand in hand almost, like far as business and black market and things of that nature, you know?
Exactly, because you know, drug dealers got to protect themselves.
Exactly.
You know, gang members got to protect themselves, man. Security officers got to. So whether it's legally or illegal, you know, guns are going to be around. This is already, you know, it's already made its impression. It's already made its impression here, you know.
And whether you know it or not, too, while we're talking about assault rifles, that's how they start, because you got these same people in the underworld or wherever, or with the big money, that are looking for the latest new high tech guns and stuff that people haven't seen or that's not out yet. So now these guns get produced because there's a market and a demand for them. And that's kind of where it starts with stuff like that.
Right. You know, it's just like the iPhone, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, they came out with a 9mm Beretta. Well, now they got a new 9mm, a Glock.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like, nah,
With
you
the
make
switches
them.
and stuff
Yeah,
on it. You heard about that with the switches and all that now. It's a lot of stuff going on out there with these firearms, bro.
yeah, it's
Kids
crazy.
are all into it too. You'll be surprised these kids what they know about guns, and they know more about a gun than you do. You wouldn't even know it, bro. You're like, wow. Serio.
That's serious. That's a serious talk about it. Let's talk about it, people. Let us talk about it, man. So yeah, I mean, that is just, like I said, it's not funny. I'm not trying to say. It amazes me. What was that movie called too, Pops? If you know it, it's called War Dogs. Have you seen that movie, War Dogs?
War Dogs. It's been a minute. I know the one you're talking about. It's been a minute though, and that's
right. Okay, so let me elaborate a little bit. It's about, you know, these 2 young guys, right? They make a business in selling foreign ammunition. You remember? So they go to Iraq and they're selling Chinese ammunition.
Yeah.
Right? And it was a true story, right? It was based on a true story and stuff like that. So, like I said, you know, weapons are, I hate to say, people, as a part of society, man. You know, this ain't Demolition Man. If you've seen that movie too, you know, where it's a perfect world, Los Angeles, without no weapons and so forth, and it's only the underground. No, it's this where. Please, people, don't believe in that situation. You got to understand that most likely within your community or within your block or your residence or so forth, there's probably, you know, a couple of neighbors that have firearms, whether they have it legally or they have it illegally in their house and so forth, man. You know, guns are part of today's society, to tell you the truth. And it's very scary because, you know, children or anybody can obtain it, grab it, take it, steal it, and do frivolous acts amongst, you know, human people, man, and amongst people, to tell you the truth. I hate to say it, you know, I was part of that society, but it was only for violence of gangs. You know, I was trying to protect my territory. But you got to remember one thing that I do recall, and I remember those few times, you know, when people were shooting, bullets don't have a name. You know, they don't have a direction. Innocent people get killed. You know, and so those are the scary and the sad things about society and guns, what could take place and what happens, to tell you the truth. And a lot of times you see these guys, like I said, on Instagram or social media, YouTube, they're flashing their guns and they're shooting them, so forth, and they're making it seem like, oh, this is part of the community and this is part of society, which in honesty, it is. Guns are here to stay, you know, and with that being said, you know, also so is tragedy is here to stay too. You just never know. You know, the best thing I think for prevention, especially in your household, if you have children, is to teach them. What guns are all about, and educate. You know, and try to be look for awareness too. At the same time, mental awareness and so forth. I think those are the 2 things that I think that could come. That's a positive resolution that could make us aware of what's happening. Make sure if you see somebody in schools, you know, or if your children come home and they say, hey, dad, or hey, mom, you know, I know somebody that has a schooling gun, you know, you need to say something, man. You know, you got, you know, the quicker you say something, the best way is that, you know, things will be, you know, handled professionally, hopefully. one never knows, man. Like I said, my cousin got bullied, man, and nothing was never done. And I think that was a little disturbing, to tell you the truth. And if anything, that kid was more protected than anything, because they said if my uncle reacted in any way, that they knew where my uncle lived and all that. So it's just how do you can't win, you become a victim of society. And I look at my cousin today, and and pretty much he's a victim, to tell you the truth, and of bullyism. And it shouldn't be conducted at all, man, because
you got to start young with these kids too. You got to instill things in them early. Like, don't wait until they're getting of age and doing things, and then think you're just going to step in and change them once they already kind of become who they are. They're going to be who they are anyway, but instill things in them early. Like Dee said, talk to them and teach them things, but start early. Teach your kids about bullyism and not to bully too. You may have a son that's aggressive and things, and tell him it's okay, son, to be aggressive. I like that, but don't use it in the right way. You got to teach these kids. Sometimes these kids don't know, and they take their aggression out on other people, or they may have come from a crazy household as well. That sometimes the people that are bullying have issues that we don't know about as well. So it goes both ways. But again, parents, if you're able to, because some households are kind of crazy, you know what I mean? But if you're able to, start with them young, man. You got to start young and still things early.
It says also, we presume that the people who commit these vile acts are disturbed. That they are mentally ill. Otherwise, they are like us, and that's untenable. It creates an easy political target that allows politicians to rationalize their failure to enact responsible gun laws. See, that's a good thing, right? These politicians, when they hear stuff like this, man, they're all over it. They're jumping all over it, man. It's because of this party group and this party group that this is allowed, or nothing like that. It's just like you said right now, Pops. It's us that are responsible in the household. What we're conducting on a day in normal life. What we teach our kids, and how to conduct themselves properly. If I'm going to be a bad father that's domestically violent and abusing my kids and my wife, man, it's going to be real hard for my child. Especially if I have a gun in the house to stably. 50-50 chance, man, to be honest with you, that, hey, he ain't gonna act wrong. He might pull the gun on me, to tell you the truth, man.
Right.
You see so many things like this.
You never know. They'll turn to you.
Yeah, right. Look at Marvin Gaye, bro. You know what I mean? Marvin Gaye, man. A victim of gang violence. His own father. Hey, quiet. His own father shot him, man. So it's just like, you look at all these musicians and all that stuff too, rappers, man. Hey, they be shooting themselves, man.
That's what I said, Timo. That's what I said. It's gonna be hard to fight gun when you're in the pocket of the NRA. Like you guys hang out and in each other's pockets. So how are they gonna stop gun law? That's why nothing has really ever been done, really.
Right, and it probably won't be, to tell you the truth, man. We're already living in today's society.
Dance around it, but not attack your head on.
Right. It says, over the past 50 years, there has only been one meaningful law passed: limited guns. Limited guns. The 1994 federal assault weapons ban passed under President Bill Clinton. Well, I didn't even know that. That expired 10 years later under a Republican president. So the law was only apprehended for like 10 years. That's pretty crazy, man. I mean, these are stuff that should have been implemented throughout the whole life, to tell you the truth, man. That's what's crazy. When you make laws and you take them away, man, that just, that's what I'm saying. That's what worries the community. And that's what worries us as citizens. Like, we got to be careful what we put out there, because right away when the laws change, we take action on it. Like, man, I got to go buy 10 more guns before the next president comes in and bans them, or so forth. We kind of put a fear, because we so much want to seem and say that we're trying to protect our household and we're trying to protect our community, or our families, or so forth. But what the hell you need to buy like 50 AR-15s for, man? It's not like you could shoot all 50 of them at one time, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's the part that just trips me out. So there has to be some kind of limitation, like I said, not only with guns, but with ammunition too. Because it's a big profit for them, like he said. My cousin spends hundreds and hundreds of dollars just for 30-40 rounds, and he don't even have enough. And I was just, how much was that box? Like $70. Are you serious? Yeah, but look at this gun. You know what I mean? It's a freaking it's a Rhino. It's a freaking what do you call those you know, where it just goes through body piercing and all that stuff. And now it's just like, okay, so how are you supposed to stop, you know what I mean, any shootings? To tell you the truth, it's not just school shootings that have been taking place as of lately. There's, you know, human beings and going everywhere else has been targeted as well, man. You know, there's been shootings at malls and Walmarts. It's just, it happens everywhere, man. You know, I remember the Hollywood shootings over here and those bank robbers, man, they were shooting, you know what I'm saying? So
Exactly. That's another thing. You put all these guns out there and then they turn on you the wrong way. Like, you know what I mean? Well, it's like, hey, what do you expect though? You know?
They got 10,000 rounds of arm piercing bullets, bro. You know what I'm saying? So
man, any day you can have some fools out there that just be ready to go to war, and they got the guns to do it, and it'll be like a war, literally a small war, until they can stop them. Look how many people will be sacrificed and killed and hit, and how much damage will be done. You know what I mean?
Right, man. So you know it goes a little further, like I said, than just our schools and in our homes, man. It's just basically what we're doing in public, bro. You know what I'm saying? It says, yeah, I'm so worried about books. How about getting AR-15s out of the crazy mass shooters' hands? Yeah, you know, that's what this whole topic's all about. Let me continue reading this. Estimates are that a quarter to a third of all guns sold now in the U.S. are assault rifle platforms, bro. Wow, this is crazy. So a third of the guns that are being sold are assault rifles, bro. That is crazy. That is a bigger number 7 years after the ban expired. Gun sales had doubled. A few years later, they doubled again. It's amazing that the ban had a counterproductive productive effect, which is dramatically increased gun sales and people motivations to buy guns, particularly assault rifles. See, so now that, you know, the first thing I think that's going to be targeted is not handguns, it's going to be assault rifles, right? That's what it's
probably got people who buy those, like you said, that probably go to gun shows or order them, however they do, got hookups so they could order them and buy them in mass numbers, bro. And then they take them and, like you said, sell them however they do. So I'm sure it's a big market out there from people who just do that, just go buy a lot of guns wholesale. And like you said, after whatever, they could do whatever they want with them. So it's probably a whole market out there.
A whole market. And I'm not saying for those who have like 20 assault rifles either. We're not saying every person particularly, you know, is a bad individual, whether you have 10 guns or one gun. All I'm saying is there has to be a balance, you know, because I ain't saying that your children, or I'm not targeting or pointing at anybody in particular. I'm just saying that there's people that are out there.
Because a lot of times too, the people that keep it real though, most of those people are responsible that own guns and have their guns 3, 4, 5, but it's not them. I'm not gonna say all the time, but they're usually not the one who does it. Somebody gets the gun from them or takes the kid or whoever and goes out and does something. You know what I mean? So
right.
Most of the time, people are responsible, but it's what other people can do. You know.
Right. And if you're gonna have, you know, like at least like, you know, more than one rifle in your house, and if you have children, or you know, or you have in-laws that live with you for taking care of a nephew, cousin, or so forth, you know, make sure you lock them up. So, you know, with security. Hey, make sure you lock them up, and you know, you do the right act, man, to try to prevent, you know, these kind of, you know, things from taking place. Because, like I said, you know, it's very unfair. It's our responsibility, because I remember when I took the test, you know, it says that, you know, we're accountable, that it has to be in a locked designated area, right? But a lot of times, you know, like my cousin, you know, he has his guns all over the place, and he has kids.
And that's the whole thing. It could be good all the time. You don't worry about your kids. Your kids never bother to mess with your gun, never had to worry. But it could be one day you don't know what your kid just went through or did out here, or somebody where he feels threatened, whatever, and he knows there's a gun there. Yeah. He has it in his mindset. He's going to get that gun that day.
Exactly, bro. Nothing you can do about it. Exactly. And those are the preventions that we need to reenact, and we got to make sure that, you know, we let people know and educate, you know, those who are around us, our children, whoever's living with us, so even ourselves, to tell you the truth. Because, you know, right away when we get it, we know when we get a gun in our hand, man, I thought I was Scarface, bro. You know what I'm saying? You know, I thought I was out there, you know, talking, hey, say hello to my little friend, man, you know, because after that first shot, it ain't little anymore, you know. And like I said, movies have a lot to do with it. Just so much things that inquire, you know, where kids themselves, or people who are mentally ill, their challenges and so forth, think that it's you know, they get the their first where they're offended right away, or they've been bullied, or they haven't been taught or told, about, safety, security, and what the guns can, how they could be very harmful for other people. That
My
and
first gun, when I first had a gun, check this out. This is crazy. I just made me think about it. The first time I held a gun, everything early when I was a kid was one I found at that my dad had. One day I was just there with my dad, and he was out somewhere, and I was there by myself, and I was, fumbling around. I don't know, and then bam, right up under the seat, homie, was like a nickel plated. I don't know what it was, something. I don't know, but I'm sitting there just amazed, holding it. I could have did anything with the gun. Luckily, I just put it back and never. But I remembered it. And I think he found out after I found it. Then he talked to me though about it and all that. But like you said, anything I could have did anything with that, bro.
anything, man. And not only that, like you said, the movies and the music that we listen to, even the cartoons. I remember G.I. Joe back then, and just going back and, okay, I'm gonna fight Cobra, dog. You know what I mean? But when you actually put the gun in your hand, it just does something to you. It's just weird. I really don't know how to explain that. Where most people are fearful, but some people are, feel irresistible. It's just like, man, you put the gun in your hand. I guess what type of environment that you're really, in, to tell you the truth. Like I said, I remember holding a gun too. Like the third day I was in a neighborhood. It's just being passed around.
You feel power. Yeah, when you get that gun in your hand, you feel some power, man.
It's just, in all honesty, it is a lot of power, to tell you the truth, because you have the choices, man. When it comes down to it, it's going to be a choice that you're going to have to deal with for the rest of your life too. And people don't tell you about the after effects of it, man. They just tell you, you just know about the now and then, to tell you the truth. So I remember when the homie, he showed me a gun, and he was just, all right, dog, this is the neighborhood gun right here. And I was just like, check it out. I remember it was a 38. And I was like, damn, dog, this is so. In my mind, I was kind of confused, to tell the truth. It was just like, okay, so what does this mean? And straight up, he told me, this is war, bro. You got to get them before they get you. And then from there, he started, laying it down, like, hey, this is your enemies. This is what they're looking at. This is the car they're driving. Be careful of this and be careful of that. And then
Right.
And later on throughout the years, it became it was irrelevant. You start finding out, especially, I've been shot twice, so 2.5, to tell you the truth. I've been skinned. And you start realizing, man, like when somebody shoots at you, man, you get a little pretty pissed off, to tell you the truth.
Right.
You get a little offensive and a little upset, man, especially if they do harm to, like, your homies or so forth. There's always that get back, or we always want to say that we're protecting our family, or we're protecting this or protecting that, but nobody's talking about the actions and that people are doing with these guns, man, too. Everything's supposed to be about, I'm gonna protect, but nobody's talking about on those who are taking actions on innocent people, to tell you the truth. And that's the part that I seen that's pretty scary, man. And I hope throughout, in the next, 10 years or so forth, we could change the, the margin and change those numbers, and find a way where we could, substantially, make our schools more safe, for our communities and our states and so forth, man. Because, like I said, to know that this nation is a leading nation where guns are being, displayed and hold, and more than terrorist countries, bro. That was just a shocker when I read that. It's just that you don't hear that from other countries, man. The other countries ain't doing this, bro. You don't hear mass shootings in their school systems, or you don't hear that in Japan. You don't even hear that in China. You don't even hear that in Iraq. Not even in Afghanistan, bro. You know what I mean? We're saying that these countries are terrorist countries, bro. None of these, you don't hear that in Russia. You don't hear none of that, bro. You constantly hear that there's mass shootings here in this country, bro, whether it's for targeting children or it's targeting innocent people just shopping at Walmart. That just doesn't make sense, man. And it's just hard. Like today, it's just, I've been thinking about, the parents and the people and so forth, man. These people they're part of our country, man. And, prayers and our condolences goes with their family. And I hope we can find a way where, we don't have to deal with this type of stuff. And I hope and pray that, somehow, some way we're not victims of this tragedy, to tell you the truth, because nobody deserves, when you're sending your 5-year-old kid, Easter's like in 2 weeks, man, You know, we're supposed to be celebrating. Summer's around the corner, spring's around the corner. You know, we're supposed to be indulging ourselves in the holidays and, you know, trying to move on forward already with a crazy world that it is. And we wake up in the morning, we find out, man, you know, 6 more people got killed. And it's just crazy. I was at the festival in Gilroy when that shooting took place. Sad. Wow. That was in California, right? It was I think that was up north. And that's what I'm saying, man. You know, you just never know. You see, yo, Big D, what's up, Rich DM? How you doing, Big Don? Send message to G-Lew, Big D in chat. All right, appreciate you, man. But yeah, that's what's going on, people. That's like, you know, it's been a minute and 45. If you guys have any comments or you know, leave up the phone number if you guys want to. Let's talk about it, man. Go ahead and call in and let us know your opinion about this because, like I said, you know, I ain't gonna say it's not gonna stop happening. You know, I just hope we don't know when the next one will happen, and you know, it's not a matter of it's like a motorcycle. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And we just thought, you know, the Uvalde, we thought the one in Buffalo, we thought the one in everywhere else, like I said, and we continuously keep, you know, encountering these mass shootings, whether it's in school or not. It's just somehow it needs to stop. And my you know, my only bid or my only suggestion is, you know, there has to be, you know, where people are limited in purchasing guns, to tell you the truth, you know, so it could be easy to monitor, so you can know the paperwork. We can know that, hey, you know, Big D, we sold him a gun and he's only supposed to have one, and that's it. I mean, it's that easy. You know, let's put that in file and that's it. Now, if Big D gets caught with other guns, then he shouldn't be having them. You know, he's going to lose his privileges and his rights and possibly could go to jail. It's just make it a little bit more harder. But like I said, man, the government these days is just like, you know, you can't fight the NRA. You can't fight one of our amendments. The whole amendment thing, you know, for us to bear arms, you know, you got people that are coming over the border, you know, from Mexico and so forth, man. You know, they're the frontliners too, to tell you the truth, man. Their house is literally like right at the backyard of the border in Texas, Arizona, and so forth. You know, they got to protect themselves from that. They don't know if they're indulging cartels, other people from other countries and so forth. And you don't know what a person mindset is thinking. You know, that's why, you know, people will go into the house, man, rob you, steal from you, you know, take advantage, and the next thing you know, you're dead. So it's kind of like, it's just, you're damn if you do, and you're damn if you don't, you know, it's just crazy. But like I said, you know, if people are coming, you know, and you live in that kind of borderline, you know, that's what I'm saying. The country itself, man, all these politicians and so forth, put you in a situation where, you know, you have to make some critical decisions, and not everyone is going to be beneficial for you, you know, whether you have one gun or not, to tell you the truth. It's crazy. It's just crazy, man. But today's, you know, we lost 6 children, or 3 children and 3 adults today. And the shooter also was, you know, killed, from my understanding. So, you know, let's just continue, man, to educate ourselves and those who have guns and firearms. You know, if you have the privilege and honor and your citizenship's right to bear arms, then, you know, make sure you educate yourself and those around your family and so forth. Because I even seen it. Let me tell you, you know, I'm going to end it with this, Pops. I even seen it. I was on a YouTube channel, right? And the guy, you know, he purchased the gun and so forth, right? Supposedly read the book and everything, and he shot himself on live TV, bro. So wow. That goes to show you, man, like, you know, no matter how much you train yourself, but you know, when you're trying to do some foolish thing and trying to think you're cool, you know, that's another thing that people are trying to think they're cool and so forth. He ended up shooting himself on the live, man, and I couldn't believe that, bro. You know, I was just like, damn. And I found out, yeah, he just got his gun. He just registered and so forth and everything. He just shot himself, man. I was just like, accidents happen, man. You know, I seen that happen too in my homeboy's pad. You know, my homeboy shot, you know, accidentally too, and lucky he had the gun down. You know, shot went right through his bed, made a hole. So it's crazy, man. Let's just send our prayers out there, people, and make sure that, you know, we be responsible with these firearms, because guns are not, you know, something that we need to play with, even as us as adults, to tell you the truth. And whatever we teach ourselves, we know we're teaching our children and everybody in the household.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Big D, G-Lew, keeping it real. Another great episode, man. We talked some real stuff tonight, Big D, man. Put it down again. Had a great, you know, we talked about it, and we read you some facts and quotes and things, you know, to back up what we were saying. So hopefully we got some things across, and some people, we got some understanding and we can continue this dialogue and just continue, you know, ourselves to do better. And with our kids, I don't know, like you said, it's hard to stop these things, but we could just try to do better, start with ourselves. Like we always say, it starts with you. So that being said, hey, great show. Big D, keeping it real. Take them out of here, Big D.
Right, people. With that being said, like I said, I'm gonna come in just the way I'm gonna leave, man. With love and peace. Make sure you guys, you know, teach one another, and let's continue to educate each other. And we'll see you back next week. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Yo, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yo, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yo, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yo, let's talk